All right, congratulations. You've picked American Indians, and you've got, I think, the hardest group. And it's probably no shock as to why. We're talking opportunities, challenges, and conflicts for the American Indians. The opportunities are really, really difficult. I mean, there's not many for the Indians, so we need to look at them a little bit differently. It's not an opportunity that they're moved west under the Indian Removal Act of 1830, but it is an opportunity for them to, as they move further west, to try to get away from white encroachment. They were trying to move out in front of the whites and get away from them. So that is an opportunity. It's not a great one, but it is. Another opportunity is to actually adapt to a new way of life, to become more white, so to speak. Again, not a good opportunity, but it is an opportunity. It's something that they could have done in the West, and it's not a good deal. The challenges are many. The first one is the slaughter of the buffalo. Many of these Indian tribes, not all, but many, do rely on the buffalo, and they're slaughtered, and I've told that story in class before. Land ownership is another challenge. American Indians don't believe in individual land ownership. They believe that maybe tribes control land or maybe own land, but certainly not individuals, and individual land ownership is a very white thing. We believe that you own a house on a lot, and that's your land. American Indians do not believe in those kinds of things as we head west. And then reservations will be a challenge. Like, we're going to take all these Indian tribes and we're going to group them into these reservations, push them in these reservations. Again, I talked about that a little bit with the Battle of Little Bighorn, and that's problematic because they're not used to living on small, confined areas. We're going to grossly underfund them. We're not going to give them all the rations and the supplies that we said they would. The reservations are going to turn into like hell on earth. The conflicts are many, pretty much with every group in the West. One of the major ones is the U.S. Army, because we will have a series of Indian wars. Again, that's a Little Bighorn. That's an example of it, but there'll be lots of Indian wars in the West. The government will have conflict with the government because of assimilation. Assimilation basically means absorbing Indian culture into white culture. So basically taking the Indians out of the person and making them more white. That's assimilation, and that leads to a conflict with the government based on the schools and things they set up. They're going to have conflicts with settlers because they're encroaching upon their land, and railroads, both owners and workers, because they're building railroads through their land. So the conflicts are all through there. With virtually every other group, but you can see this is a hard story to tell, so you need to make sure you give it the due diligence and the nuance that it needs.